All right, guys, let's switch back to the offensive side of the football. You guys can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out all the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Guys, we saw Ken Dorsey call plays for the Browns on Sunday for the first time in the Kevin Stefanski era. It wasn't Kevin Stefanski calling the plays. The Browns obviously put up their best offensive performance of the season. From a schematic standpoint, from a route concept, all the incorporated, did you notice a big change in the offense with Ken Dorsey calling plays from when Kevin Stefanski was calling plays?
I didn't at all, no. This was the same offense we saw with Joe Flacco last year, so I guess it was a little different from what we saw with Watson, only because Watson wouldn't throw the ball downfield. If it looked different, it was because of that. I said about a month ago that I thought Kevin Stefanski should give up play calling, but it had nothing to do with the play calling for me.
It had to do with the guy that was running the play.
Well, no. What I'm saying is the reason I wanted Kevin Stefanski to give up the play calling, yes, although I agree with what you said, is because I felt like Kevin Stefanski, for the first time in his career, was doing a poor job with clock management, timeout management, and that's why I wanted him to give up play calling, not because I think Ken Dorsey's a better play caller. I just thought Stefanski needed to focus on the bigger picture. And I thought we saw that yesterday. I thought we saw a situation where he was able to focus on the bigger picture. It's one game. Next week he might do a terrible job with that. Who knows? But in terms of the play calling, in my opinion, and none of us know for sure, I think that was almost a non-factor in this game.
I didn't see anything we hadn't previously seen before.
The only thing that you missed was some of the crazy try and trick bag plays.
We could do without those.
And like you didn't see, and the people I talked to in Buffalo said Ken very much is a believer in running backs run the ball, receivers catch the ball, quarterbacks throw the ball. Like he's not into the gadgets, and you really didn't see any gadget plays. Other than that, it looked like the exact same offense. There was guys open down the field, just like there was guys open last week and the week before. You just had a quarterback who could get it there. That's the only difference. But to your point, I did talk to people in the locker room who felt like Kevin popped his head last week into meetings that he wasn't previously in, whether it's offensive line,
That's
defensive line,
interesting.
I think that was good. It was good for him.
He was in different meetings.
Because he has more time.
And I talked to one person who said he felt more relaxed, like he looked more relaxed.
Yeah, I thought he looked way more relaxed on the side. It was great to see his face instead of hiding behind the Denny's menu.
And he was still on the headsets. I'm sure he was involved in the play calling, no doubt.
And like it's little, right? It's minor. But I saw him during a break. The defense goes under the benches and they go in, and he stuck his head in the defensive huddle just for a second.
Yeah.
And then he's back. But you never saw that before because he's on the sideline.
Right.
I don't care whatever he wants to do. I think he's earned the opportunity to call the plays if he wants to call the plays. He's great at it. I think he's very good at it. If he wants to go this route and feels like this is better for him, so be it. I talked to somebody in the organization yesterday who said he could be a head coach. Like he was a head coach yesterday, and he had his finger on a bunch of different things. So they're going to go with this for the rest of the season. It sounds like certainly they're not going to change now after 1 week, after the success that they've had. But the plays themselves, it didn't look any different to me.
I'm a big believer in empowering the people around you. I'm a big believer in, I think to a large extent, the whole thing in the marriage with Deshaun Watson, I thought Kevin Stefanski was just wearing too many hats. Just he was trying to have his finger on everything. And it's hard to do everything well. Like when you're sitting here trying to think of a scheme 4 or 5 plays ahead, seeing what the defense is doing, that means you don't have time to talk to the quarterback on the bench as much. That means you don't check in with the defense and say, hey, what are they giving us with Jim Schwartz? You don't have time to think about, hey, if we get inside this territory, we're going to kick the field goal, get the field goal team ready. All of those little things, I think it was weighing on him. And when you see Dorsey, and I thought this was a really cool thing because Jameis Winston talked about it. He said the reason he came to Cleveland was because he wanted to run plays under Kevin Stefanski. And when he came out and said that he was going to change the play call, and he went and talked to Stefanski and said, hey, Like, what's going on with this? What are we doing here? And he sat down and had a great conversation with Kevin Stefanski. Him and Dorsey had a conversation, and I thought it was really cool that at the end of the game, you take a look at what they had, and there was a time where he throws an out pass. They needed, I think it was 3rd and 7 or something. They throw this out pass, and Jameis Winston lets it go before Elijah Moore gets out of a break. He catches the ball first down there by the goal line before they scored. And he said, were you kind of, surprised that, in the press conference, were you surprised that, hey, you guys were being aggressive? And he said, listen, Ken says this. He said he's been saying it since he got here. He said, we get an opportunity, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go down being aggressive, and that was a case of a play in which he was aggressive. So, look, I give Kevin Stefanski all the credit in the world for sometimes relinquishing something and empowering other people in your staff to do things, because I believe that once you empower people in other circumstances, you can grow for a better or bigger purpose. So to me, the offense obviously is going to be the same, some of the same similarities, because Kevin and Ken work together on offense a lot. So I think a lot of it is similar, but I do like sometimes a fresh set of eyes on something could give you a little boost. We'll see if they can continue to have that same little boost moving forward.
By the way, real quick, Jay, it is funny, though, because, we talk about being aggressive, and I love being aggressive, and I love that they, after the near interception, that they threw deep again. But you know damn well that had that been held on to for a pick, that half the fan base would have said, you should have just run the ball and kicked the field goal.
Yeah.
That would have been
It's so much easier when you have the benefit of the results.
I don't know that you can trust the kicker from that range.
I agree, but that would have been the reaction from
probably. But I was telling Zach, you can't, you got to go.
No,
you can't trust him right now.
And 2-6, and I'll say this, for 2-6, if you're going to be aggressive, the time to be aggressive is now.
What do you got to lose?
And it wasn't just about trusting the kicker for me. If you kick a field goal, you can lose by a field goal, and their kicker's better than our kicker.
Right.
That's why I was saying, no, field goals get you beat. You go for the touchdown.
Yeah.
And you see where they ended up. They could have kicked the field goal at the end of the game. Like, Baltimore drove the ball down the field.
If they were down 1 or 2, they might have had a shot. They would have. They would have made that field goal.
They might have defended differently. So
Perhaps. But
Lamar is so freaking good.
Oh, he's one of one.
So freaking good.
He is unbelievable. I'll tell you, and I don't want to get too far off track quickly, but Jaden Daniels is that Hail Mary yesterday there were so many incredible things about it.
How about just the distance of the
He threw it 70 yards.
70 yards.
But the other thing that was impressive was, and I'd like to get a clock on what Lamar's scramble time was before his final throw. He scrambled there were 13 seconds. Now, granted, they only rushed 3, and that was, I think, where they killed themselves. That and the fact that the defensive back was taunting with the Washington crowd.
That was crazy.
That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And you know what? If he doesn't fall on the sword today in the meeting and with players.
Oh, he already did. On social media. He already went social media and said, I'll learn from this.
He's out of the building otherwise.
Yeah.
But back to the play calling. Didn't see a big difference. They didn't change offense. At no point did we hear, okay, we're changing our offense now. They never said that. The playbook is what the playbook is. What you choose to dial up in certain situations is the impact that the play caller has on the game. I don't know that Stefanski would have dialed up the deep ball after the near pick. I don't know.
We'll never know.
I tend to think he wouldn't.
He could have shut it down,
because with a very small sample size of Dorsey really paying attention to him now, he's much more of a card player than Stefanski was. Stefanski was pretty safe for the most part.
I need to go back and look at that play. Are we certain that Cedric was the primary?
No, I'm not.
Because he was so open.
He was so open. It might have been a secondary
read. I tweeted
read.
out the end zone angle of it. I wish we could show it here. We could show it on Friday, but I'm not sure he's the primary.
I'm not either.
But he certainly was running a route that Jameis was looking at. Jameis starts with his head to the left and then comes back center.
Who else was in that route tree? I don't even remember.
I don't either.
I can tell you right now. Hold on one sec. I mean, Moore and Judy were on the field. And Joku was there, but
if
he
it
starts
wasn't the
looking
play
to his
call,
left. And
kudos to Jameis.
Well, I'm just saying,
I think it's a second progression because he starts looking left as soon as he becomes center. He sees
and I would
Tillman
think that would probably be the case too, because you want something safe and sure.
Right.
And if safe and sure isn't there, then if something else is there and it's a feels like a sure thing, take it.
You bring up a good point. I just wonder if that was the call. Like, would Kevin have called the deep ball? Well, did
they were
Ken
asked in post game about the call itself?
No,
that might be a Wednesday
I go straight
question.
to the locker room. I wasn't in the post. I don't go to Kevin.
I don't necessarily believe that Kevin would have done that. I mean, he goes for fourth downs more than anybody.
Right.
No.
He's not
Listen,
a
in those
conservative
situations,
coach.
he is a gunslinger, and I think that's the input of the analytics department, what they've had on Kevin. All that being said, I'll say this. Carl Willis is the pitching coach for the entire Cleveland Guardians staff. Why is it that one day starter A can look like Cy Young, and the next day starter B looks like he belongs in the minor leagues, but in their next starts, A might look awful and B looks like Cy Young? It's more than anything, guys. It's about execution. I remember play callers used to say, I heard Bill Parcells was the first one I ever heard him say this, but it's been said a lot. Maybe he wasn't the first one to say it. Guys, every play is drawn up to score a touchdown.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have a play in our book. I went through and I looked at every one of them. We don't have a play in our book that's designed to fail. What makes a successful play? Execution. Now, there are situations where the play calling is paramount, but no play call works without proper execution. And the reason I would have loved to have seen what would have happened with Jameis and Kevin is because now we would definitively be able to say, with all the certainty in the world, and I'm still there, that Deshaun was the problem. That was it. You took him out and everything got better.
You know what happened? I'm going to tell you this. Kevin Stefanski is an astute politician as well. Shout out to you. You are very smart. That dude ain't dumb. He must have been studying the great Roman leaders back in the day. You know what he did? It's always better to give something up before somebody take it. He comes in and says, all right, well, let me look at the lay of the land right now. Right now, I'm attached to Deshaun Watson. Right now, I'm attached to that play on the field. He comes in and says, you know what? Let me go ahead and give Ken Dorsey a shot, a look at it. If Ken Dorsey plays well and Jameis Winston play well, he not only gets credit for making the decision to get the plays over, he looks like he's omnisciently, he understands that, hey, he looks like he's self-deprecating and he's putting the team first. And if it doesn't work out,
take it back over.
He could take it back over next year.
Yeah.
If it don't work out, he said, "I was just trying something.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do what's best for the entirety of the team."
Does
even
he
taking
get
the play
credit
call.
for that? Because
Yes.
I still have two questions, and I'll
Yeah.
ask them all to each of you. Question one: whose decision was it to keep 4 on the field?
You'll never know it.
I know, but I'm asking, what do you think?
I think his hand was forced.
I will base it on what I know to be true from the Baker situation, that ownership was driving them to continue to play Baker because they had to
And
make
you're
a
the most
decision.
informed on the panel because you've got those inside contacts.
Because they had to make a decision on Baker's contract, so they kept
Understood.
playing through the injury.
So do you think it was Haslam and the ownership group making the decision to play Deshaun?
Oh, listen, come on.
I think that too.
We're going to get to this later. Like, I don't know why people say, why was he still playing? It's very obvious. I gave this man all this money and it's guaranteed he going to play.
Yeah, and I think that
That's
too.
what's going to pop off.
We
now
got
I
to get
think-
something out of it.
Yeah.
We got to get
Second
something on
question
a return.
that I'm curious to get your answers to. To the public, Kevin stood up and said, I'm stepping back. Now, it's contrary to everything this man has said in his 4 years here. I love play calling. I'm not giving up play calling. I love it. I love it. I'm not going to give it up. That's the one thing I love about my job. Do you think that was Kevin's decision or from ownership?
I feel like I'm being inconsistent, but I'm going to say that was his decision.
Okay, what do you think?
I don't know. I
If you
truly,
had
I
to
don't
venture
know.
a guess?
When it was first announced last week, I thought it was forced on him.
Yeah.
And then after poking around and talking, the one thing that makes sense is there were so many fires across the entire offense that he had to dive in. And I just talked about how he stuck his head into different meetings. So that's where I don't.
So he finally just reached that tipping point.
Yeah.
All my other children are leaving the flock as I'm
my
chasing down
initial
one.
reaction was I thought it was taken from him.
Okay.
Now I truly
No, that's
don't.
fair.
But
Do you think
I
it was
don't know.
management or Kevin?
Listen, I think it was Kevin. I think he astutely said, I'm too close to the fire here. Listen, there's no need to be me being attaching myself to these play calling situations. If the Browns look terrible the rest of the season and he's still calling plays, what does that look like? The optics are, you are part of the issue, but if you step back, you let people do their job, and you clean up some of the other stuff. He said, if I could stop the penalties, if I could get the guys to play well, if I could get them to play with some energy and effort, people will say, well, the team didn't quit. Kevin
And he does get credit for that.
He gets credit.
For
and,
sure.
And every now, they're going to forget that Deshaun Watson came out of the game because of the injury. They'll forget that in 2 weeks if they still keep playing well. He'll eventually get credit for playing Jameis Winston, and he'll get credit for letting Dorsey call the plays, and he'll get credit.
I disagree with that. I won't forget that it took an injury.
No, Jay.
I hold a grudge. And I won't forget that,
As you should.
that despite being led to the water and pushing their head down into the water in the midst of a drought, they refused to take a
You know
drink.
who else ain't going to forget? Myles Garrett, because they
Miles
wasted
won't
another
forget either.
season
And all
off
the
his
veterans
prime.
on that team won't forget.
And
They're
Joel
gonna-
Bitonio
in
ain't
fact,
gonna
you
forget.
lose credibility points because of the way it unfolded. If finally Kevin had said enough is enough, he would have had some credibility build off of that move.
But here's what he's doing. They won't forget it. There's a reason why he has to go mend those relationships. What better way to do that than say, listen, here, take this over. Let me talk and walk these dudes through this rough season. I know it's a rough season, guys, but keep holding the rope.
Start winning.
Start keep investing.
Jay, the reason that I asked those two questions is because ultimately I believe this. The Deshaun Watson move was the worst move in NFL history.
Yes.
And we used to call it a trade, but it was
Transaction.
it was complicated.
It's the worst.
I'm saying it is definitively for me now the worst trade because
I agree
the
with you.
Herschel Walker trade didn't. I mean, yes, it had a negative impact on the Vikings.
didn't wreck
but
the Vikings.
that trade was bad only because of what it led to for Dallas, who, by the way, was already building.
It was more great for the Cowboys than terrible for the
yes.
Vikings.
Now,
Herschel Walker was
so-
still a good player for the Vikings.
Exactly, and it's not like it tore the Vikings franchise to the ground.
This
like
may be
this
the
one did.
worst transaction in sports history.
I listen. I've said that to some, and they're like, "Oh, that's going
if
too
you
far."
combine it with the contract,
Right.
what's worse?
So it's arguably
Yeah.
the worst in sports history. Someone has to be on a cross for that. Someone has to pay the price for that.
Yeah.
Was it Barry driving that train? Was it Stefanski driving that train? Now, if Stefanski is going to stand up and take the bullet for keeping him in play, then I'm saying, when in the history of the sport has a coach sat on a seat that got hotter after a huge unexpected win? Maybe yesterday. And I say that because now, if we're to believe Kevin that it was his decision, I have zero faith in his ability to analyze the most important position in sports. He told us, he lied to us, in your words.
Yeah.
He told us 4 gave us the best chance to win. We saw with our own eyes all season that was a lie.
That was not true.
Yesterday it was proven. So to my point is, they have to find out internally, and Jimmy knows the answer to this, and so does Andrew, and so does Kevin. They need to figure out who was carrying the flag on the Deshaun Watson awful move. That is a fireable offense. I know you can't fire the owner, so if it was the owner, he's off the hook. But if there was one person in that hierarchy that was demanding that they go make this move, that person needs to be gone.